Following the events of 1857, the British Crown assumed direct control over the Indian subcontinent. By 1858, an entirely new administrative machinery locked into place. Along with this new infrastructure, the British imported their own political operating system, the concept of a democratic representative government. On paper, representative government implies fairness. In practice, on the Indian subcontinent, it collided with a stark demographic reality. The region contained a vast Hindu population and a significantly smaller Muslim minority. This abstract scale illustrates the flaw of pure majoritarianism. When representation is tied to headcounts, the heavier demographic weight dictates the outcome. Under simple majority rule, the smaller community faced a structural vulnerability, their interests consistently overridden by the mathematical reality of the census. The threat facing Indian Muslims originated deep within the math of the new political architecture. Surviving this system would require an entirely new strategy. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was the first major figure to recognize this structural trap. He formulated what became known as the two-nation theory. He argued that Hindus and Muslims were distinct socio-political entities with different ideologies. Therefore, they required separate representative frameworks to coexist under British rule. For decades following 1858, the Muslim response remained localized. Leaders prioritized educational reform, building schools and colleges to secure basic economic survival rather than engaging in national politics. But adapting to a democratic system eventually required ijtimaiyya, organized collective action. Individual complaints would have to evolve into a unified political architecture. The founding of the All India Muslim League in 1906 was the eventual result of this organized effort, emerging after 40 years of political friction that tested the validity of Sir Syed's ideas. This timeline tracks the key moments that tested unified Indian representation, beginning in 1867 in the United Provinces. That year, Hindu leaders sparked a major controversy by demanding the complete replacement of Urdu with Hindi as the official language of the region. This linguistic demand was paired with programs led by Hindu extremists, such as the Arya Samaj, whose explicit purpose was to reconvert Muslims to Hinduism. This early friction demonstrated that a demographic majority would use its weight to dictate cultural and linguistic norms if left unchecked. The situation grew more complex in 1885. A retired British civil servant, A.O. Hume, established the Indian National Congress. The Congress presented a foundational claim. It would act as a neutral, representative political platform for all Indians, regardless of religion or background. However, the mechanics of majoritarianism quickly took over. Hindus joined in overwhelming numbers, and the organization's membership, leadership, and policy agenda began to reflect that majority. Under the guise of a national independence movement, some prominent Congress leaders adopted policies aimed at establishing a Hindu Raj across the subcontinent. The Indian National Congress operated exactly as Sir Syed predicted. In a system based on pure numbers, a unified political party defaults to protecting the interests of its largest demographic. The ultimate test of the Congress's neutrality arrived in 1905, when the British government made a massive administrative decision regarding the province of Bengal. This map shows the 1905 partition of Bengal, divided down the middle to improve administrative efficiency. The new province of East Bengal held a Muslim majority, offering immediate economic benefits. However, the Hindu majority launched widespread, violent protests to sabotage the partition. For the Muslim community, the true shock was the political alignment of the Indian National Congress. Abandoning its claim of unbiased representation, the Congress openly supported the Hindu extremists in their agitation. Bengal proved that Muslims could not rely on the British for permanent protection, and they certainly could not rely on the Congress for fair representation. A separate political platform was now a necessity. In 1906, the Liberal Party returned to power in Britain, bringing a proposed program of political reforms. This created a narrow window of opportunity. Demonstrating the principle of ijtimaiyya, 35 top-ranking Muslim leaders unified into a single delegation, completely bypassing the Indian National Congress. On October 1, 1906, this delegation met directly with Viceroy Lord Minto at Simla to present their demands. Their central requirement was a system of separate electorates. This meant Muslim voters would exclusively elect Muslim representatives. based on a reserved quota of seats in all representative bodies. Viceroy Minto expressed sympathy for their position and promised to take the demands directly to the British government, highly encouraging the delegation. The Simla deputation proved that unified constitutional action yielded tangible results. They now needed to institutionalize this momentum permanently. The timeline reaches its final destination on December 30, 1906, in the city of Dhaka. The annual Mohammedan Educational Conference convened under the chairmanship of Nawab Vikar-ul-Mulk. Almost 3,000 delegates attended, making it the most representative gathering of Muslim India to date. During this session, Nawab Salimullah Khan moved a historic resolution to establish a permanent political party. It was seconded by key figures, including Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar. The resolution passed. The All India Muslim League was born, and Sir Aga Khan was appointed as its first president. The Muslims of India transitioned from a collection of fragmented communities seeking educational reform into a unified national political force. This graphic illustrates the highly specific three-point agenda the Muslim League drafted at its inception. Each point was designed directly to neutralize the threats of the previous 40 years. The first objective was political rights. By securing separate electorates through constitutional means, they built a direct countermeasure against the structural vulnerability of a unified assembly. The second objective was loyalty. Fostering goodwill with the British government ensured the diplomatic success achieved at Simla wasn't lost to miscommunication or extremist agitation. The third objective was unity and brotherhood. They sought to maintain peace with other Indian communities, separating politically while attempting to halt cultural friction. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan's assertion that Hindus and Muslims held different ideologies and required separate frameworks had transitioned from a theory into a structural reality. The formation of the All India Muslim League was a calculated, institutional response to the challenges of the census. It provided the vital political armor required to survive the modern democratic era.